Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Grimdark Lunch. We have an exciting show today. We're going to be talking about the GW Grand narrative.
Yes.
And we have two people who just got back.
First-hand experience.
First-hand
That's
experience,
right.
yeah. We're not talking out of our butts. Well, they're not. I will be, because I didn't go.
Yes.
But yeah, exciting stuff. So,
we have a few things to get through first.
We have a few things to get through first, but just want to give you guys a reminder that if you like the stream, please like the stream. If you want to ask us any questions about the narrative, you can. But if you want to donate to the show, you can super chat us, and we'd appreciate it.
We have a little bit of an itinerary today, but
yeah,
please send us your questions in chat. Add us in chat and at the Hobby Collab, and we'll answer your questions.
Yeah,
right.
So
we got a little table setting before we get to the lunch.
Yes, exactly. You gotta wash your hands, wash your face. And what I mean by that is we have to do our science. Important stuff to be done today.
All right.
That means the list. All right.
So if you're new,
dude,
we are in the process of ranking every 40K model ever.
Every single one.
In all of history.
In all of history. But we have to be objective. It's not, we can't just choose our favorite.
Right.
Which would be probably...
Which would not be science.
No, that wouldn't be science. That would be, I don't know.
Opinion?
Opinion?
Yeah.
We're not about opinions here.
No.
We're about science. So, I wanted to start off with the Mutalith Vortex.
Wow.
Because I know that you brought that. So...
There's a tie-in here.
Yes, yeah. I brought Zach's Vortex piece that I've stolen. And then, of course, one of my own that I had painted for my Thousand Suns collection. These are awesome. They're like the dogs. They're the pets of these Thousand Sun sorcerers. It's like a real messed up dog, man.
I've never
What
heard
kind of dog?
This model as a dog.
Is this like half lab? Like,
it's a sorcerer's pet. It's like a warp beast entity thing. It has like a vortex tornado thing on its back.
Yeah.
It has like tentacles coming out of its face. I don't even know if it has a face.
Yeah, where do I pet the dog? You said it's a dog. Look, I don't know where to pet it.
Pick a place. Probably not the very front. Probably not the very back.
Don't stand in
somewhere in the middle.
But not on the top too. You're like
also
some cats
not on the top.
Yeah.
Some cats like being pet on the back. Some like the stomach. Some like the head. Maybe like not two of those three things.
Yeah. It's just okay. Yeah. Only approach from the side.
All right, so keep this in mind. This is one of them.
Yeah, so we'll come back to it. Next up, we have... Piranha?
Okay.
Okay.
Theme here.
I don't think you brought this, but it was Tau, so...
I did not.
We're only allowed to rank Tau when you're here. So.
Interesting choice.
We have a Tau specialist in the house?
Yes, exactly.
It's a speeder used to ferry diplomats around, also occasionally, in a pinch... used to fusion blast stuff.
That's like I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a civilian vehicle that is like they're used. It's sort of their like get around.
Tau civilian vehicles just have meltas.
No, sorry, civilian vehicles is the wrong word. It's like if you're in a war zone and you're sort of a battlefield commander and you need to get from like one place to another, like a pilot will like jump in and
it's the escort vehicle of choice.
So it's like a Jeep.
It's like a Jeep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's not probably not used for taking on tanks.
No.
Probably.
No.
Although I guess Tau guns could probably do that. Anyway, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, which doesn't matter because that's not scientific. But I'm putting it out there.
And the third one?
Third one is Tall Boy. He's now available to buy, so we have to rank him.
He's legit.
Yeah. Maybe the most scientific of the models.
Can definitely do a lot of science.
A lot of science. You get a lot of high ground science.
Yes. Obi-Wan would be proud of this man.
Yeah.
He brought his own high ground.
Yes, he brought...
BYO.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Chat, if you've got feelings about these models, let us know. We won't take them into account because that's not science. But
it takes a lot of great minds to calculate all these things. So, add your science up in chat.
Yeah.
That's how that...
let us know what your findings are in chat.
There you go. Yeah, we'll publish them.
Publish, yeah. All right. Mutalith Dog.
Dude, Vortex Beast.
Also, thank you, Molecule Cody, for their good boys, Brett.
Good boys?
Yeah, thanks, Molecule.
Good boys. That does bump him up from somewhere.
Yeah. But all muscles, no sleeves.
Ooh, yeah,
he's got
point.
He's got a warp blast on his back. He's got tentacles on his... I think he's number one.
Number one? A new number
I think
one?
he's number one.
I think you're crazy.
I think he's number one.
He has mouth on his tails. He has hooves,
He's
but
got
also
tails
claws.
on his, he's got tails on his mouth. He's got mouths on his tails. He's got
I don't know.
This model's amazing, Cire.
It is amazing. I will give you that.
He shoots magic out of his back.
That's pretty cool.
Craziness.
That's pretty cool. I don't know. I don't have a good feel. You're saying number one.
Top 5
I think
Saul.
so.
Top 5 for Saul. Okay, Saul. Wow. Top. Are my calculations off here?
MVP number 1. Chicken. Yo.
Chicken?
Yes.
100. See, number one. Oh my gosh.
Chicken knows what's up.
I feel like I've look. The science is saying that I might be wrong. I was thinking somewhere like down here.
No.
I was thinking
No
like
way.
Chaos Knight Carnivore
Top
area.
5. Top 5.
Top 5. Okay. Who's getting bumped out of the top 5 then?
Blade Guard
Oh.
vets. Number one. It's the number one.
They'd have to give us number
This
6.
is number one.
I can't abide number 1.
Okay.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm very sad that Snickrot has to go, but at least Snickrot has to get passed up. I want to say Catachin Jungle Fighters needs to be
The original
the
with the bad painted eyes.
Oh, don't look at his eyes. You'll fall in love.
He is more muscular though.
That is way more
muscular.
way more muscle.
Okay,
Top 3?
I think I can be. It's not taking out Orc Boys though.
It's not.
It's
No,
not.
I agree. I
Somehow
agree.
Orc
I
Boys
draw
are
the line at Orc Boys.
Orc Boys are actually
Alright.
more muscular somehow.
Okay.
Okay, now here comes the next part of science. How do we spell this? Mutileth?
Tileth?
Is that?
Ooh,
That can't be right.
No.
No.
Maybe.
Let's just do
T-
MVB.
Yeah,
We did it. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
All right,
MVB
good
number-
sciencing, everyone.
number
Actually,
3.
you know what's more scientific? Let's go like that. There we go.
MVB.
MVB.
Just like
Love it.
BLT.
All right. Next up,
MVP is MVP.
Piranha.
All right.
All right.
Piranha. So I think I'm maybe in a minority here, but I don't love this model.
okay, so you're saying it's bottom of the pile. Got it.
Not
Next to the Storm
as
Surge.
bad as Storm Surge, but yeah, pretty few. You know, it's a few pages down for sure.
Yeah.
I will say you gotta take in all the different dimensions here. Staple in a lot of lists right now,
Yeah.
right?
But we're not gauging
It's-
this based on competitive.
We gotta take the
Uh,
whole
utility.
picture,
The
whole
whole
picture,
picture.
whole
Okay.
picture.
Alright.
Like the look, the lore.
The lore that it's a Jeep
possibilities?
is pretty funny.
Is a Jeep, but it's also like I hate the fact that it doesn't have a roof.
Thank you. I was just about to say that. I was
Like-
going to say that feels very not Tau.
If this is meant to protect sort of
Right,
dignitaries on
yeah.
the battlefield as they're
Yeah.
sort of being ferried around, like this is not going to offer a lot of
That's
protection.
a Vindicare away from
That's right.
one less.
A Vindicare, a loose rock
Exactly.
could be the end of it.
Yeah, this thing's meant to be fast. Like it doesn't even have a windscreen.
Yeah. This is
Completely impractical.
Tau messed up with this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to
I'm
say
not
it's
loving
not as
it.
cool as Lehman Russ battle tanks.
It's interesting. You keep putting up every time I'm on the show. You keep putting up these Tau vehicles for me to rate, and you like pick my least favorite out of the range. There's like three things in the
I have
Tau
to
range
say,
I don't
there
like,
you go.
and you pick 2 of them.
I will say Lehman Russ battle tank has a windshield.
has a top.
That's
Has
right.
a top, yeah.
Is it-
Eldar Guardian even has a top. It's
yeah.
got a helmet. This thing doesn't have.
Are
a
they?
helmet.
Is he going to be in company with a Storm Surge?
Yeah. I think
Better
so.
or worse though?
It's better than the Storm Surge.
Okay, better than the Storm Surge.
It's
But
fast.
It's
Something we
fast.
need to talk about is whether Eldar Guardians are still on probation. What's the win rate for Eldar
It's
right
still too high.
All right,
it's,
we're
it's
still-
like,
now? Still on probation.
It's like it's high.
Oh,
it's
God.
the highest.
I chose all the hard words to spell it.
ANHA.
Say that again. AN.
ANHA.
We need Brett.
For
more.
Han?
We need like phone a friend Brett when
There's
like
no-
a two
there's no-
illiterate.
remove
like,
the first H. Yeah. PIRAN.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Piranha.
right. I know
Okay.
when it's right.
Okay.
Just don't know how to get it there.
Okay.
27. Someone said 27. Wow, they're being generous.
Being generous.
All right.
All right. Last and but not least, Tall
Whew.
Boy.
Oh my gosh, I just
Stilts
don't.
Man.
I
Divisive.
don't like this man.
Yeah.
I just don't like him.
Divisive model.
He's a nerd. He's a geek.
You know what? I wish this model you could pose it. Well, I've not bought the kit, but can you pose it with short legs?
So I think the feet are built into the base.
Oh, interesting.
So no.
So I would love it if you could model this with either them up or down, or wait for it. What if it was like telescoping?
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Thank you.
I would
Telescoping
love
looks
that.
at it.
That would be like top.
It's an action
top,
figure,
yes,
like
yes. But because it's not, I like it. Just kind of looks. It looks a little goofy. And that tail.
Molecule Cody saying Permalast.
Dillerman number
Say
3.
Dillerman.
Yeah.
I will say there are some really great kit bashes floating around the
Yeah.
internet of people just adding another like an extra layer of coolness on
right.
this guy.
By adding extra legs.
Maybe extra legs. Sometimes it's like
Taller legs.
Even
it's like
taller.
so
Yeah.
So we're just gauging. We're judging the model,
Yes.
the base kit, right? Because there's some cool piranha mods that add a roof, for example.
Yeah.
But like, we're not judging the.
I more
kit bash
look at
potential.
I look at the potential that the kit allows.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
not like the things you add. I don't know.
Add to it, yeah. If you're converting the kit without any additional parts,
Yeah.
that's it within the realm.
All right, chat. I'm curious where chat thinks. Everyone hates it. Seems to be. It's objectively bad.
I was really just trying to lessen the blow for this guy.
Yeah.
So that when
What's even his name? Sidonian, tall guy.
Tall guy.
Okay, I think we do have a new number 36. However,
Tally McTall guy.
Sidon. Oh my gosh, tall guy.
Yes. Stilts man.
Stilts.
Honest.
Stilts Miggy.
Yes, Michael Cody. If you completely change the model, it could be cool.
Yeah.
So that's why it's
I
at
will give you that.
36.
So here's the problem.
He's not wrong.
Here's the problem. We just put him on the bottom, right? So he's down here.
Yeah.
The problem is he's very tall. So he just
He just rises to the top.
He keeps going.
He just rises to the top.
Afraid.
How's he in the top 20? He's down at 36.
Look at-
Oh my god.
All right. So he might actually be number 1.
All right.
Anyway,
Cool. We did it.
we did it.
Amazing.
All right.
All right.
Science.
That was science. Good job, everyone. Good job,
Thanks
Team
for
Science.
for joining us for science.
Yes.
We are moving on now.
We're gonna do a quick Warcom hit because there's some
Warcom
fun
review.
stuff before we move on to our big topic for the day. So quick hits. New White Dwarf. There's some exciting stuff, especially considering we're talking narrative stuff today.
Yes.
I'll just highlight them real quick. New kill team rules for jungle warfare. That's the one that stuck out to me.
I'm really excited to see what they do with this.
Yes, back in old Hammer times, they would have like rules for, dangerous like
Cities of Death.
yeah, exactly, like dangerous cactuses and stuff like that. So I'm curious if that's the kind of stuff they'll bring back. There's also a
Dangerous cactuses.
yeah, danger cactuses.
And then,
what
like,
was it?
the Catachans need to have a special rule on they're like an additional special rule on their data sheet that says like immune to dangerous cactuses.
Yes, exactly. Immune, but only but not like dangerous flowers or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I think there was something else about narrative mission for 40K as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Ooh, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, are we coming up on a year yet of 10th? Like, I feel like it's been a while, and
It was this summer.
oh, was it?
Summer, yeah. So we're still not
6
that
months
far.
in.
Yeah,
into
we're
6
not
months
that
in,
far.
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, there hasn't been a ton of Crusade stuff that has come out yet.
Yeah.
For 10th, so it would be cool to see like it trickle in for the edition.
Yeah.
Should be fun. That will be exciting. There's also some Necromunda models. I guess that's at 40K Jason. We're not going to talk about those though. Maybe some other time when we really get into it, so we can actually give it its proper attention. But we've got narrative stuff to talk about, grand narrative stuff today. So we're gonna just jump right into it. Main event. Here's a quick rundown of what we're gonna talk about. So here we're gonna talk about the plot of the event because that's important. You got to know where you're going.
Yep.
Talking about event structure, so there's like a weird team thing going on that you guys are gonna have to explain to me because I've never been to one. And then highs and lows. And what we really mean by lows is maybe some areas of improvement.
Sure.
Nice.
We're not here to poop all over it, but
And you're going to see this from the perspective of a veteran that has gone to the GW narrative before, Brett's perspective, and then also the first time that I've really been to a huge narrative event outside of our own local one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then someone who wants to go to one.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So if you're unfamiliar, the Grand Narrative is games is held. This is the second time they've done it. Last year was the first year that last year's event was in Albuquerque. This year it was in Atlanta. It's held concurrently with the World Championships of Warhammer. So if you ever won a GT throughout the year, you would get an invite to the World Championships, and you could come to Atlanta and play in a very, very competitive best of the best event. That was happening at the same venue simultaneously with the Grand Narrative, which anyone could buy tickets to. And the Grand Narrative is Games Workshop's sort of first foray into narrative gaming. It's their attempt to answer the question, what would a narrative event look like if it had sort of the full faith and resources of GW behind it? And how cool of an event, narrative event, could Games Workshop put on if they just really, really pulled out all the stops? And so last year was their first time doing this. They also sort of sweetened the pot a little bit by teasing the fact that the Grand Narrative would be sort of their vehicle for advancing the official storyline of the 41st millennium. And so if you come to this event, you could, in theory, sort of be part of the sort of official storyline.
Canonical story of Warhammer. The things that happen at this event literally happen in the story. So that's super cool to think about.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of a callback to those old events during Warhammer Fantasy, where they would have, you know, this big chaos incursion, and you know, depending on who wins, you know, the orcs will headbutt Archaon, and he gives up. Stuff like that happens.
Right.
Now, I think they will probably take some liberty with how this ends. I think maybe I should. But that's what we should talk about now, right? Is what was the plot?
The plot, yeah. So the Grand Narrative this year took place in the Palat system on the planet Oculteris, and the event sort of kicked off a few months ago with an email that was sent out to all the people who had registered with sort of a narrative briefing about sort of the events thus far, and they described this this command entity in very vague terms. They didn't really tell us what the command entity was. But there were sort of 3 super factions that were being pushed into the Palat system ahead of a Tyranid hive fleet that was encroaching. Turns out the Tyranid hive fleet was sort of just it felt like kind of a way to tie in the Tyrannic War stuff that is part of the current Crusade campaign.
Oh, interesting.
Just rules-wise?
Rules-wise,
that's where the Crusade rules are right now. They're mostly around the
Tyrannic War stuff. So the Tyrannic War stuff and the hive fleet that was coming was kind of just like sort of a little hand-wavy way to say like, oh yeah, we're fighting in the Tyrannic War. I didn't really have much in the way of sort of impact on the storyline. But the command entity was sort of vaguely described. There are 3 super factions that were laid out. The Enlightened, which are loosely defined as Imperials. The Pact of Enlightenment. The Pact of Annihilation, which is loosely defined as Chaos. And then the Pact of Resistance, which is loosely defined as Xenos, or last year we were referred to as Interlopers.
Yeah.
But they also kind of allowed you to sign up for whatever pact you wanted. So if you sort of self-styled as, you know, you wanted to use Chaos rules, but you were Alpha Legion and you were sort of loyal to the Emperor, at least pretending to be loyal to the Emperor, you could sign up for Pact of Enlightenment as a Chaos player.
Yeah,
or, in your case...
Thousand Suns, I signed up with the Xenos, basically, in Pact of Resistance. So it's kind of a cool way to be with your friends as well.
Yep.
Pact of Resistance, generally the smallest of all the factions, weirdly, even though it encompassed all Xenos races in theory. But yeah, it was really fun and a cool idea, and allowed you to sort of make up a cool narrative backstory for your warlord and your army, and why you were there and what you were doing there and who you were allied with and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the main plot kind of revolved around figuring out what this command entity was, what its agenda was, and then sort of each of the 3 leaders of those 3 super factions sort of vying for power and control amongst each other, and as they sort of battled over and with and around this command entity. So that's kind of a general overview. Does that? Yeah, I know that was perfect. No, that was perfect. Cool. I don't know if we want to like give the results of what happened. There's also like a good Warcom article. Of like everything that happened, all the major events.
And I also will point out that the narrative and the storyline was sort of drip fed to us throughout the event. They told us little bits here and there as we sort of progressed through the event. And so if you missed one of those events, let's say you were held up at dinner or something like that, and you missed one of the narrative briefings, or let's say, and also it was, you would miss sort of a significant chunk of storytelling, but also bits and pieces of it were revealed within the faction briefing. So if you're in Pact of Resistance, you might not hear sort of how things were going with the Pact of Enlightenment, because you'd have to like know somebody in the Pact of Enlightenment and hear their side of it.
Yeah, and as like the first time going to like a real like to the nines narrative event, like all out, I was blown away by this narrative and world building, because they had cosplayers, hired actors, that were doing skits in each of the rooms, which are these planets or war zones. They had our faction leaders that we talked about that would give speeches to us before every mission to tell us what our objectives were and things like that. They had the Vox Localums, which were these basically actors that were telling us the situation in a given war zone. And so like even if you weren't in a war zone at a particular moment, you probably missed out on like a sketch or something that two actors kind of just like went back and forth on in front of someone. And it's completely random, and they're kind of building the narrative of like what's happening and like what the situation is, what the struggle is. And so it was like crazy to see, and like we probably missed like 70% of the information. But like at the end, like we got the general gist just from our perspective of where we were.
So why don't should we talk a little bit about the event structure?
Yeah.
I think we'll probably reveal kind of how the event kind of played out from a storytelling perspective as we go through some of our games, and maybe do like kind of a recap.
Yeah. So I guess spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Though this is some lore spoilers.
Yeah.
So
some light lore spoilers. So I actually got a picture if you want to. So you're going to talk about the structure, but I'm going to bring this picture up. Second. You can start.
So the three narrative warlords, which are the heads of the three super factions, Pact of Enlightenment, Pact of Annihilation, and Pact of Resistance, are shown here. So on the left is Fred. Fred was playing Inquisitor Tyvost von Cantrell.
Yes. In Pact of Enlightenment. This is the Imperial faction leader. Very cool.
And over the course of the event, his costume changed multiple times. So he's shown here sort of in his initial inquisitorial garb. On day 2, he donned a suit of Terminator armor.
Oh, cool.
Huge. He was huge. He was I didn't even recognize him. I'm like, is that who? What?
Oh man, I'll go see if I can find a picture of that.
On day 3, he had a completely different outfit. The woman in the middle is Elle. She and Fred are partners, and they are professional cosplayers, by the way.
Yeah.
This is they do an amazing job. They were also the Imperial and Interloper faction leaders last year. So this is their second time doing this, and they did an amazing job last year. They did an amazing job here again today. Elle was playing the Exalted Leader, who's the warlord for the Pact of Resistance. And her sort of progression throughout the event was probably the most striking.
Yeah, it was insane. This is our faction leader, by the way.
Yeah, I'll bring up a picture. You keep talking.
And you can. This is how she started.
That's how she started.
And she's kind of like this. You don't really know what she is. We didn't know either.
She was described as the Exalted Leader.
Here's a better picture.
Right. And she looks like maybe in a sage-ish wardrobe.
Yeah, some moon symbols maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Person, vaguely Eldari, vaguely who knows, mystical. A knowledgeable person, a shamanistic person of some kind.
She ended up being.
Yeah, go for it.
She ended up being like a Zechian psyker or something, or like some type of mystic.
She was,
and she like evolved into this demon prince eventually.
Here's a mid shot. This is partway through the event.
This is her day 2. Yeah.
So this is actually sort of her maybe third costume change. There's an intermediate one as well. So over the course of the event, her staff got sort of progressively more elaborate and ornate and Zechian.
Right.
Her costume became more feathered. And purple and green were sort of more prevalent in her colors.
Yeah, and even before this, like in the first day she like started having like blue paint on her face,
Yeah, some
like just
makeup,
like
yeah.
little things,
hints.
like little transformations,
Yeah.
right? And like things that she would say and hint at,
Yeah.
you know, during her monologues and stuff.
During the
like it's so slight
Right.
that it's like.
Oh, there we go.
And this is her like almost like final
form.
Yeah.
On day 2, we had to plant teleport homers as light beacons. We had to light beacons as our faction objective, and she specifically instructed us that across our battle group we had to light exactly 9 beacons, no more, no less.
Wait a minute.
And so we had to sort of communicate amongst each other across all of our various games, like who is lighting how many beacons, so that we could get exactly 9.
This is what made the narrative so fun for me. Like little hints like that, and like picking up on like part of the story. It's like listening to like an audiobook, but like you're part of the story, right? And you're like picking up on these like little subtle hints and foreshadowing. Things like when the second Warzone came along and we played in it, I was standing in line to like tell this Vox Localum what our score was and like how the battle went. And one of the actors like came up to me. I had like a Zeech book. She's like, "Oh, that's like the same symbol as our like leader or something." Right? And I'm like, "Wait, what? Aren't you like Imperium or something?" It was like a guardsman. I was like, "What does that mean?"
What's happening?
Here is her final form.
So on the final day, she revealed that she had in fact been sort of following Zinch's direction. She ascended to become a demon prince, and she had this incredible bird mask that articulated, the mouth moved, and she had on all this face paint and these crazy gloves, and it was amazing. The Chaos Warlord was played by Chris Stover, who is the guy who runs the Nova narrative event. And so he sort of, I don't know the backstory, but he somehow became involved with the grand narrative and was participating as, he's on the right here, as Warlord Fedge. And so over the course of the event, he slowly sort of fell to Khorne / Vashtor, and was asking anyone who would listen, honestly, whether they were in the Pact of Annihilation or not, to take the mark of Vashtor on their forehead, and he was running around with like blood paint and painting on people's foreheads, collecting souls for Vashtor. So it was, and he sort of progressively became sort of more gruff, single-minded,
collecting heads,
collecting skulls on his backpack,
doing his thing.
And this guy was intense, dude. His speeches were hilarious. I think Chaos was like desperately losing the first day. It looked like he was about to throw something at his team. Like he was getting angry. Like his speeches were so aggressive. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And these are our faction leaders, but they're not they're not really like in love with us or anything.
Yeah.
So like when they're doing like speeches and stuff, they're almost like abusive. Like this guy was outwardly aggressive towards his team.
Yeah.
The Imperial faction leader was like very passive aggressive. So like it was very funny to see the dynamics between leaders and teams.
Yeah. So these 3 characters were, paid to be there. They were in character the whole time. They had multiple costumes that they changed in and out of according to sort of the progression of the storyline. We talked about this after the fact. I think
I just want to do a quick.
There we go.
Yeah, there was a picture of him in his Terminator armor.
So this is the Inquisitor, the Pact of Enlightenment's warlord, in his Terminator armor. Yeah, Inquisitor and Terminator. He had this massive thunder hammer as well.
Yeah.
And they Fred and Elle made all of these costumes in the lead up to the event. So these are all handmade by them in the year leading up to the event.
Wow, that's awesome.
Chicken
just mentioned the Imperial faction leader orbitally bombarded his own team.
Did? Yeah.
That sounds right.
So this was on the last day, and the night before there had been kill team games in an orbital platform to establish control of who would have access to the orbital bombardments, and the Imperial faction won the kill team event, and so they had access to the orbital bombardment. And then
I lost a good amount of units to that thing.
Yeah, so there were sort of random orbital bombardments on tables on the last
that's
day
fun.
as a result,
including his own team apparently.
Yeah. That
Cool.
justify the means.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit. We've kind of thrown a lot at you about kind of how the story was set up and some of the narrative cool hooks that they had and some of the cosplay and the acting. sort of, I've struggled a little bit to kind of explain to people kind of what it felt like. But honestly, I think the sort of most appropriate way of explaining how this felt in the moment was playing the original, as it felt playing the original Command and Conquer video game. You guys ever play this?
Yeah.
So you'd play a game of Warhammer, and then at the end of the game, you would get like a live action cutscene acted by like really good actors. James Earl Jones was in like the original Command and Conquer, but like, there's like there would be some interplay between different characters. They'd act out a key moment, and then they'd sort of set up the story going into the next game, and then you'd like all disperse and you'd go play a game, and then you'd come back, you'd report your results, and then you'd come back and you'd get another like super cool live action cutscene. I remember playing that video game, just for the cutscenes.
Hilarious.
And I don't mean that in like, the game was a little kitschy. I don't mean that in like a derogatory way, but like it was super cool to see all of the work that was put into developing the dialogue. And we only saw one version of it. It's totally possible that they had sort of multiple
branching
narrative paths depending on like how things went in the event.
Super cool. This is, I mean, all this like little touches go a long way for these events. So this, you just don't get this kind of.
Before we close off the story. If we're moving on, we probably should tell them like what happened.
Yeah. So tell me what how did it end? I want to know.
So there was on the last day. I don't know if you caught this, John, but there were 6 games: 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Midway through, toward the end of game 1 on Sunday. So this is game 5 of the event out of 6.
Right. First game of the last day.
First game of the last day. One of the event organizers came into our war zone, which at the time we were playing in the D-Force Dome, and they said, "I need a representative from the battle group that's the Pact of Enlightened battle group in this room." And they took them out of the room, and then they came back. I think what they asked them is, they're like, "Hey, there's this civil war happening in the Pact of Enlightenment. Some people are sort of rebelling against the Inquisitor. Is your battle group going to fight for or against the Inquisitor in the final game?" And because then what was revealed in the final faction briefing, which was between games 5 and 6, was that, oh yes, the Imperial faction has become fractured. And for game 6, the Imperials will be fighting against Imperials, and so that freed up Xenos to fight against Chaos in the final game, which was cool because as Xenos, we basically fought against Imperials all event, and so the Imperials were sort of, there was infighting during the final game. And so at the end of the event, it was revealed that the Inquisitor had sort of been ousted from power. And if you'll remember, he was executed on stage.
He was literally executed.
The final cutscene, he was revealed to be a traitor. The like heresy is in the eye of the victor. The victor, gets to define history. So the Imperials, I guess, whoever had decided to sort of break away from the Inquisitor and rebel against him, as determined by those conversations had with individual battle group leaders, they must have won their games well enough to essentially sort of beat the loyalists, the Inquisitor's loyal band, and then he was determined that he was going to be executed. And so I don't actually know if this is real or not, but I believe that like that whole sort of plot progression was determined by the games that played out in the final round. So cool. That was kind of the outcome, is that the Imperial Inquisitor was determined to be a heretic. He was executed. And then, do you remember what happened with the command entity?
With the command entity, I know the Imperials seemed somewhat protecting it, right? And then they kind of like, I don't know, they splintered off. Annihilation. I don't.
Vastar was trying to steal it.
Oh,
he was trying to he was trying to like run off with it and like acquire it for himself. And I think that happened. I think that Vastar sort of acquired ownership, or became in league with the command entity as an AI. The command entity was revealed to be an artificial intelligence that had sort of been conniving events to get this conflict on this world, to sort of release it. Resistance, the Xenos faction,
Yeah.
sort of won the event from a gameplay perspective. We like won the most games or something. I'm not sure how it was determined that we won, but we won the event, and so the event sort of for the second year in a row was won by the Xenos faction, and so the exalted leader was able to escape, and she took whoever had sort of kept their allegiance with her, with them. She took us with them with her off world, and
yeah,
I don't know what happened to us.
Right, I just know that somehow we escaped. Some cataclysmic event happened with the AI, and we got out of there.
Yeah. Okay. So Lyle is commenting in chat. Chaos stole it to take to Vastro. Yeah.
Okay. So they kind of achieved their own.
They kind of achieved their own thing. And then it was also revealed that anyone who took the mark of Vastro on their forehead. Oh, that by the way, all event long he was yelling, "Blood for the Blood God, souls for the Soul Forge." Actually, if you took his mark, it was your soul that was going.
You were just
going to the Soul
Forge. Yeah.
For Vashtor's, evil machinations.
So yeah, just to answer Polychrome's, he added us asking, how much was it passive versus actually like participating? So I mean, it seems like maybe not a ton, but like when you did participate, they had long-lasting effects, right? You either overthrow the Inquisitor or you stay loyal, and that kind of determines whether you win or lose.
Yeah.
Losing your soul,
Right. And it was like very obvious who had taken the mark. It was like on your forehead.
Yeah.
You played like 2 to 3 games with like marks on your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was really neat. So yeah, that was kind of how things wrapped up from our perspective. But again, like there was so much of the narrative that was revealed in faction briefings and in sort of specific war zones that we were probably not part of. That I think there's like significant portions of the storyline that we just didn't see.
Yeah.
I'm sure like we were never pressed really to take a mark or anything,
right.
But I'm sure like Pact of Annihilation, the Chaos side was like very like driven.
Come on, guys!
Like you're taking the mark, right?
Yeah.
And like the Imperial side was probably like, oh, we're like branching off, right? We're gonna execute this Inquisitor, or we're not.
Right? No. Oh, all right. Guess not.
But like Xenos were just like, oh, something's weird happening with our faction leader. She's turning into a demon. All right.
And you're
not
playing,
my problem.
And you were playing as Thousand.
I know. So like
So you were just like
yes. I was in the right faction all along.
All along, yeah. That's right. And honestly, the Tau, one of their sort of like long-standing sayings is the only constant in the universe is change. The wise adapt. And I just kept leaning into that the whole event. I was like, change is cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with change.
We're not tainted by chaos.
That's also that's right.
We're
yeah,
definitely not tainted.
I don't know why everyone's going crazy all around me, but like change is cool.
Whatever, guys. Whatever. Just thank you, Kiki Bariki. I love you. You're all the best. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 3-month membership.
Thank you, Kiki. Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds super fun. And yeah, I think those being able to interact, having your choices actually means something's pretty cool. Yeah. Someone else asked like how much improv was there. I don't know. I know you mentioned like
oh my gosh,
Acadian coming up to you and saying, "Hey, look, that's weird. Why do you have 1,000 sun?"
Yeah, that was like happening all the time, and I was like, as like a very like reserved person, especially in like real life when I'm like playing my games, I'm out there. Like they were just walking around talking to you in full character. Like they did not break character, and they would go back and forth with some people. Like full character and like build on a story or whatever. So that was happening all weekend long in little fun. Rooms and little like corners of the room. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Improv.
So lots of improv from the
craziness.
Yeah. Sweet. So that was the story. That's a plot. I guess we talked a little bit about the structure as well.
Should we look at some photos?
Yeah. So we have some of our own pictures.
Yes.
Coming.
Tell a little bit about our experience.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what we thought. All right. Yeah. So we actually got. I somehow knew this was coming. Go ahead, John.
So yeah, I met a little Votan buddy of mine. Just wandering around the halls. I didn't know if I should kidnap him for the rest of my games for good luck or rub his head. But I ended up taking a picture with him, and he's super funny, awesome. Little cosplays like this, little costumes like this were awesome. Totally made the event throughout. So Very cool. Just one of the players.
He had shoes on his knees, Chad.
Yeah,
Shoes
shoes on his knees.
No, he might have been that short.
Okay.
Let's
The
not.
costume was that good. I couldn't tell.
It's just perspective.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is the
yeah,
pact. This is the pact of resistance.
Wow,
All of our Xenos faction.
You said this was the smallest faction.
This is the smallest faction. Yeah, the event was, I don't know, what would you guess?
I think it
300-400 people, something like that.
at least like 250.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it was a good size. That we had a hall like 4 times as big as the competitive side.
Mhm.
So like it was a massive hall. Like we were spread out everywhere, upstairs, downstairs, throughout several rooms.
And you can see, so our exalted leader is there kneeling down in the front. But you can see amongst just the Pact of Resistance here, a lot of the event attendees did some pretty elaborate cosplays too. So you can see some Necrons, you can see some Gene Stealers, you can see some, there's just a lot of different, there's a lot of different faces there. Yeah, our Photon buddy.
Yeah. And this was like the last day too, so I'm sure everyone was burnt. There was plenty of cosplay in the preparation before, after. It was awesome.
People are still dressing up the last day. That's fun. All right. There we go. Speaking of,
some more examples of the voxel calum. Some of the staff that were. So this was a tech priest who was in one of the war zones, and would give us our mission briefings when he walked into the war zone.
Cool.
This is us with the Chaos Warlord Thedge.
You really had to listen to him. His like voice acting was so great. He was like full on character. The GW employees were like personal friends of him, and they were joking how he hasn't broken character for like last 6 months because he's been building on this character for a long time.
He had this like voice box microphone speaker thing hooked up that wasn't so much amplifying his voice as it was just making it sound like gravelly and like chaosy, which is really cool.
That's super fun. All right.
This is just an example of one of our games. So the you can see here Acadian dressed up as a cosplayer. He has a YouTube channel. He did a great review of Acadian Steel, I think it's called.
Nice.
He also did a review of the event as well.
Yeah, check that out.
Check him out. But you can see some of the terrain there too, what a typical board looked like. He brought 2 airplanes, a Marauder bomber, and a Thunderbolt, which is why I love this picture. That's because awesome. Not only was he dressed up in costume, but he also brought this like crazy airplane list.
Yeah.
Which
it's
is
neat. Like you kind of see the vibe of like what was going on, and like it's super cool to have the actors also interact with these people cosplaying too. Like, oh, a guardsman.
Yeah. One of the other voxel calums.
Yeah.
Day one, John, you were dressed as a Thousand Sun Sorcerer, right?
Yeah. I was kind of going for like a sagey look, just to like help set the tone for like whatever table I was at. It was very, very fun. I would 100% do it again. And this guy was awesome too. He was kind of like a Minotaur priest.
Or something. I was gonna say he looks like a priest.
Loyal to a different Inquisitor, but one of the voxel calum for the.
What was it called?
Yeah, sorry, it was I have it here. The Strata Sanctorial.
Yeah, this is one of the battlefields, and it's like the biggest battlefield. I feel like it was spread out, and it smelled like incense, and like there was like fake candles everywhere to set the tone. There was like red robe or ribbon everywhere as well, and it was like this world full of different gods or
temples and to different every god in the universe. There's hundreds of sort of underground temples to different gods.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We already talked.
There we are with our exalted leader. You can see some of her crazy face makeup from the last day.
Fully zeeched out.
Yeah.
There she is again. Earlier,
intimidating.
Before her transformation.
Oh my gosh, that's a good shot.
That's a crazy photo. Yeah. This is our friend Chris. He and I were roommates. He plays Tau as well. We got in a training simulation game on day 2. So you're encouraged to sort of play out of phase games if you want. In the afterwards, they had some sort of organized kill team as well. And so he and I don't get to hang out very much, and so we got to play a game on Saturday and stayed up until 2 a.m. and we're extremely tired the next day. But yeah.
Yeah, well, this is like the great thing about the narrative of like you can play the Crusade stuff and really like try to get games in so you can get your Crusade points and like tech into all the Crusade stuff and do the homework, or you like don't have to at all. There's like no pressure to actually use the Crusade rules. You can get your games in and just be in the moment if you want to.
Nice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well. You got all your stuff there. Might as well play
right.
as many games as you can.
Yeah.
This is a Dark Tech Priest.
This is the
of some
Fivefold
kind.
Forge.
From the Fivefold Forge, yeah.
Such a great name.
Another Vox Localum.
Very cool.
This is sort of a group shot with some of the last few Vox Localums that we didn't get to capture from the last day. I
feel like we didn't meet a ton of these Battlefield Vox Localum people, but they were very cool. They were really good about just like walking around the different rooms too, and just like visiting and like doing a little like skit or something.
Yeah.
So it was very, very cool.
Sweet. Well, that's fun. We got some more pictures to show in a second, but before that, I wanted you brought your model here, so I want to make sure we show your MVP before we show the game stuff.
Okay, so John and I each brought, do you want to talk about our armies real quick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Right. So I brought a Tau army. My theme was a forward deployed group of stealthy units. So I had one ghost kill, one stealth unit, and one stealth commander. And they sort of were collaborating with a collection of auxiliaries to sort of scout out some place of interest that they were considering attacking. At some point they would call the attack, and when they did, there would be a transport that would be dispatched and the Orca would arrive. And so I brought like this stealth contingent, this auxiliary contingent, and then a bunch of dudes in this flying transport. And this was my army theme. And it was super awesome. I don't get to play with this model very much. I love it. And I wanted to sort of give it a paint refresh before the event. I didn't get around to that. But I'm very motivated to like give it a paint update going forward in the days ahead. But it was definitely my MVP. It defined how my army played. It was like genuinely like good in the game as well. I sort of wasn't sure because I'd not played a lot of games, so I wasn't sure how good it would be in 10th ed. But the new transport rules allowing you to disembark after models, after a transport has moved, make this like a genuinely sort of compelling choice. And it was a cool centerpiece. People got really excited to see it. It's out of print Forge World. It hasn't been on sale for 10 years, so like and also it didn't sell a lot of copies because it's not like a super sexy. Yeah. It doesn't shoot a lot of guns or anything. Yeah. So there weren't a lot of them that were ever sold, and so it's kind of a rare piece. And people maybe, if you ever played the Fire Warrior video game, this is like featured in the video game. Yeah. And so maybe you've seen it there, but like never in a game of actual warfare. A lot of people didn't even know it had a model. So like it was very common for like in the middle of a game, I just have to like talk to people would just walk up, and I think my opponents would get like a little bit tired of people walking up be like, "Is that it? What is that? I don't know what that is."
Your opponent would be like, "It's an Orca.
It's an Orca. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's killing me. I hate it." No,
does it open?
It opens. It has a detailed interior.
Whoa.
And I've not done the detailed interior. It's all just empty right now. But
there's lots of seats.
Lots of seats. Room for a ethereal and a command chair. And that's so cool. So yeah, this is going to be like my winter hobby project. Stay tuned. I might be doing a Journeys.
Fun.
Nice. I want to talk to you guys about doing a Journeys in December, January. Getting this thing detailed up because I want to take it to LVO as well.
Oh yes, we had a question about LVO. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
We'll
this is
show
my MVP.
Hold on, we got to show to show you how big this model is.
Okay.
Here's
put my MVP.
John's alright if I put it on top.
No, of course,
Fine. Yeah.
He would ride that
surfing.
way. That's a big character model too.
Yeah, this is a chunky character.
So who is this guy? What was your MVP?
So yeah, my MVP.
Or tell us about your army archetype.
I played Thousand Sons. I was kind of like a branch of Magnus's sons that are kind of looking for freedom by getting knowledge, but also knowledge is power. So we were kind of about making magical flames. So I had a flaming character,
On fire.
On fire. I had a very funny punny kind of warlord name. It was like Ignatius Infernalis, or the Illuminator. So I was like, my whole theme was like based around flames, and so I had all these like non-named sorcerers that were just like a lord of some type of flame or ability. So kind of just utilized each of their specialties to play a cool game.
Yeah.
And you were telling me how like you did sort of different rituals throughout rather than.
Yes, I would like put my sorcerers together to do like cool rituals. I would like, I don't know, focus over objectives. One turn I would be moving super fast with like the Lord of Astral Path, or I'll be dominating at the middle of the field with Mortal Wounds with Doom Bolts and the Lord of Flames, which was my warlord. And that was the cool thing about this crusade, I think, where it kind of focused on warlords.
Yeah.
There was a whole fame and infamy aspect when you would go into each mission or battle, where you had the option to gain fame or infamy depending on a specific feat that you could achieve. The coolest one was like, pass a morale check or a battle shock test every turn.
You had to voluntarily take a battle shock test on your warlord every turn.
Oh my gosh.
And pass it every time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The infamy side of that was shoot and kill or attack and kill your own unit with your warlord, and he would gain infamy.
So if any other unit of yours on the table failed a battle shock test, your warlord could choose to shoot that unit immediately as if it was your shooting phase, and then if they were able to kill one or more models in the unit, then you achieved infamy.
Everyone's a combat.
That's way harder.
Exactly,
That's way.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
There's a lot of steps.
There's like a lot of there's a lot of steps to be like the most famous person in the narrative. So like things like that were super cool to try to achieve with whatever warlord you brought. So I'm glad I brought a cool warlord.
Yeah, super cool.
So that was our army archetypes.
Let's
a little bit about our MVPs.
Little armies. MVPs, armies. All right, we're gonna hop into some more pictures. These are from games. You can just tell us what's up with those. Now that we've shown you what you guys are working with. Wrong one.
All right, so this is my crew contingent.
Oop, sorry, it's moving on its own. Give me 1 second. There we go.
I brought. So one of the things I wanted to lean into, just from like a, I don't know, trying not to be too competitive, is I basically like sort of self-enforced rule of one.
Okay.
So like, except battle line, I brought 2 battle line units, but like everything else in my army, I just had 1 copy of. So I brought one of every like weird crude nonsense unit that I own. So I guess I don't have hounds. I had a unit of carnivores, a unit of Krutax riders, a unit of Narlock riders, which are legends, and then a great Narlock, also legends. And so these guys were cool. Also, like if you've ever played Dawn of War, that great Narlock, it's kind of a fan favorite. And he ran around and ate some Space Marines a few times. But that was my sort of stealthy, pre-deployed auxiliary force on the field.
Nice.
Yeah, a very cool aspect to add to like a narrative game. It's just cool to see. On the field.
Bringing the fun models,
right?
That you don't always get to see.
This is that
the
Strata Sanctorum war zone that we talked about, and just an example of kind of what the convention hall looked like at the event. So lots of folks lined up playing on tables.
Yeah, each room, each door that you see there on the side is another battlefield that has a similar room to this. Filled with another pairing or
themed terrain. The ice world is through that door.
Yeah,
and then farther down the hall, there's the sort of desert world.
Yes, and I see you were talking with the red ribbon.
Yeah,
on all the tables.
Yeah,
there.
This was this was in the jungle room, the deep forest dome.
Oh yeah,
some Seraphon terrain, I think, right there. Is that?
Terrain, yeah.
I think there was a Catachan jungle fighter. As the Voxel Callum set the tone. It was very cool.
Yes, this is a different war zone. This was the Scars. This is the game that Chicken and I played the optional game we played at the end of the day just for fun. So this was our Tau v Tau training simulation.
Is that your orca?
That's the orca, yeah.
Why is it so tall there?
So I've got 2 stands for it. I've got a short stand and a tall stand.
Gotcha.
The short stand makes people feel a little safer. The tall stand's a little easier to position around terrain.
Gotcha.
Let's kind of change it up a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's a training game. This is on the Bad Run.
Yeah, that's that desert map that we were talking about. Oh, this is me.
Desert one.
This is we met some really cool people. We didn't really talk too much about our own battle group or anything, but we had a lot of Goonhammer at the event. So we had Goonhammer, a great website has a lot of informational articles, on our team, and then also I played against one of the Goonhammer guys. And his Imperial Fists in this matchup here that you see. And it was a very fun, cool narrative thing where he had Imperial Fists, but he also had some knights that you saw there.
Yeah,
and then he has, very scary, as someone who loves his sorcerers, a lot of assassins.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like a huge Vindicare assassin at the top of that very building over there. Shooting down at all my characters. And I'm just trying to like push up the board. Like I was trying to go for fame. Where it was just like pushing into his deployment zone, headlong. Like I actually had to keep yelling at him that like, oh, I'm pushing into your lines. I'm gonna go to your battle.
I'm gonna kill ya.
Your deployment zone. And I had to say that every turn and push in for fame. For fame, it was for fame. And
for the fame.
You can see me doing that there.
It's great. I love it. Oh, I wanted to share this photo. This was my travel hack that I learned from our friend Andy. Last year, which is basically if you're traveling to an event and and are sort of asking yourself like, how do I transport my models on a plane? The Pack 432, which is this case sold by Battle Foam, and you fit foam trays in it, can sort of satisfy the requirements of either your 1 allowed carry-on or your 1 allowed personal item. So you can bring 2 of these cases. One is your carry-on, one is your personal item, and then you just check all your clothes. And it's usually the case that 2 of these cases can fit 2,000 points of models. And so I thought this was a super cool idea. I already had one of these Pack 432s, and so I just, in the lead up to this event, bought a second one.
Nice.
And this was how I transported my army, including this giant shoebox model to the event. So if you're not sure how to sort of travel, this might be an option, especially if you already have some Battle Foam content.
Yeah, traveling on planes with Warhammer models, it's like its own technique.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrong ways to do it.
Yeah. This is just a quick hit. You're telling me this was one of the forest boards here.
One of the Deep Forest Dome boards, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had our, one of the only Eldar Vox Localum actors was on this map. And it was used like a very cool rogue.
Gotcha.
Eldar. That was like world
was he meant to be Eldar?
Yeah, he was definitely.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. That's cool.
It was very cool. The aesthetic was very awesome there. Hey, this is
you.
my army. This is all kind of like laid out there. They kind of did like a showcasing of the army, so I'll put mine out. Very cool.
Very neat.
This
was final game. So this is I've seen Lyle in chat. So final game was against. They had a sort of a little bit of a mismatch in terms of number of people.
Yeah.
And so we only had 7 people in our battle group. I think their battle group had 10. And so the Vox Localum said, "Hey, does anyone want a challenge?" And I immediately raised my hand, and he's like, "All right, well, so you're gonna have so I got assigned to play against 2 people. They each took 1,000 points. I took 2,000." And Lyle was playing as Titanicus. That was his faction. And so he had his 2,000 point army consisted of a warhound and a number of knights as sort of a bodyguard. And so he just brought the warhound on its own as his 1,000 points, and then his buddy, his teammate Asher, had world eaters, and so it was a bunch of sort of on foot melee oriented infantry with a Mauler Fiend against plus Lyle's Warhound against my army, and it was a super cool game. I've never played against a Warhound Titan before, and it was a blast. Spoiler alert: I was able to kill the Warhound.
Good.
It turns out that after 6 games of Crusade,
you
can buff a unit of broadsides up to the point where they can pretty much kill a warhound in one turn.
It gets like crazy. Like Crusade gets crazy out of hand if you actually like do the homework. And it makes you feel a little better. Where like if you really try to have a stronger army with weaker units, you can get there to that same level of strength of like someone who maybe had like a competitive army in the beginning, but didn't really look to like the future. Crusade.
Right.
The
and Lyle was a super good opponent and super sportsman about it. It was fun. This was a cool unit of Ultramarines we saw that had LEDs in the plasma guns. I don't know who this belonged to, but I just like snapped this photo.
Yeah, we like passed these guys and it was super cool. Color eye.
Why paint OSL when you can
be actual OSL? But yeah, it just as an example of like how serious the hobbyists are at this kind of event. There's a lot of really cool hobby on display.
Yeah, super cool.
Including a Warhound Titan.
Some more terrain shots here, showing off the board.
Cool. This was from the fivefold forge. Yeah.
Very cool.
And that's it.
Nice.
All right. Okay. Well.
So that's a bit of an overview of kind of what the boards look like. Do we want to kind of give our thoughts?
We'll give a quick highs. Well, that was kind of our highs and lows. Maybe we'll talk about like what we liked, what we, how does it compare to like LVO narrative, which you've gone to, and what kind of things would we like to see in the future?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to start, John?
Yeah.
Or I can go first either way.
Yeah. I think I've never been to the LVO narrative, but I went to our local narrative run by Brett and our club.
Maelstrom Mixer was a million times better.
It's called Maelstrom Mixer.
Yeah.
First week in May. We'll probably kind of announce the dates in the next month or so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It is very fun.
But GW is supposed to be this like to the nines. GW throws all like its resources at it to make it what it is.
Yeah.
And I think just having the actors setting tones is like an awesome idea.
It's so cool.
It just made everything for me just to see the effort put in by those people and the work they did was just amazing. So I don't know, that was like the highest high for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was like the coolest thing was to see all the sort of narrative, the dialogue. I would love to see if they had like a branching dialogue tree for like how the event was going to play out.
Like the worst thing is like you can't be in every place at once, so you can't like capture it all.
Yeah.
I want to see like a wiki page or something about it or something later on.
Yeah.
The lowest of the low for me was just, I don't know, the location was pretty far and out of the way.
Yeah.
But the thing about the location is it's going to change. It's going to change next
Yeah.
year.
So I heard that they are confirmed for Atlanta next year.
Oh really?
So
no.
It is going to be. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be at the
far.
same. I don't know if it'll be at the same hotel, but
okay.
So at least Atlanta has a major metropolitan airport.
Yes.
And at least it
was super convenient.
The train was very convenient to get from the airport to the hotel. It was less than 2-block walk from the train station to the venue, which is nice. But yeah, for us on the West Coast, getting to Atlanta was a bit of a haul. Although there was a direct flight, but there was only one, and it was kind of pricey and yada yada. I don't know. For me, I guess I completely agree with you on the high. The actors and sort of the cut scenes, if you will, in between the missions were so cool and so immersive. And added so much to the event. People were in their own cosplays as well, but just sort of seeing the, interplay between everyone who is so excited narratively to show up and tell a story with, the interplay between those individuals and the paid actors was a ton of fun, and everyone was very clearly having the time of their life. It was very infectious, the vibe and the mood. As far as lows or things could be done better, we've talked about this in our a few months ago in a show we did on narrative gaming. I'm not a huge fan of Crusade as a narrative format. It feels kind of like a way for people who are naturally inclined to be gamey to like just game harder. And it takes a lot of, if you are a person who sort of has that tendency, it takes a lot of willpower to sort of intentionally hold yourself back from figuring out all the crazy stupid combos that you can do in Crusade, especially and you don't know in an event like this, you can't have a pre-conversation with your opponent about like how strong is your army. Like, you can sort of look at it, but like you've been building up your Crusade upgrades for the last 5 games. You can't just like, I guess you could just like omit some of them, but yeah, it's hard to sort of have that pre-conversation or say, oh, I'm not going to play against you after you get sort of halfway through deployment. Now that I realize that this is probably going to be a weird game. So the Crusade format, and this is more just, I guess, just a criticism of the Crusade format than it is of the event itself. But the event, for better or worse, uses Crusade. There are other, you asked about other narrative events. So LVO, Maelstrom Mixer do not use Crusade.
Right.
GW Grand Narrative and Nova Open do use Crusade. So if you like Crusade, you know, this event is amazing, and I'm sure you will absolutely love it. But yeah, if you're not as keen on Crusade, maybe check out LVO or come to San Jose for Maelstrom Mixer. The other thing I'll comment on was the terrain was like fine. There were some terrain boards that were really cool, and we showed you some of those in the photos. But a lot of the terrain boards were pretty sparse, and were just kind of GW ruins with a few GW plastic kits kind of scattered around. The terrain in some boards was sort of too light or too sparse.
Yeah, I've got some pictures here.
But there also wasn't a lot of variety in terms of types of kits. Everything was pretty much ruins. We realized after the fact that there actually weren't any forests on any of the boards because all of we were talking with one of the employees actually after the fact, and he was saying that the reason for that is because all of the forests get consumed by the AOS event, the competitive AOS event. So they have sort of a limited allocation of wildwood forests.
That's very funny.
And they all get consumed by the competitive AOS event.
That's funny.
So there's sort of these limitations just because it's a GW event. They're sort of incentivized to use their own terrain, and that terrain is kind of limited in terms of quantity and variety. And so if you go to like Nova or if you go to Maelstrom Mixer, you'll see a lot more sort of variety of terrain. You'll see a lot more pink foam. You'll see a lot more third-party kits. You'll see a lot more 3D printed stuff. And I think this is sort of a combined thing of like, it's a GW event, so they're incentivized to use their own terrain, but also the event is just growing. Like there are a lot more people there this year than there was last year. And at an event with hundreds of tables, you need just the volume of terrain you need is so incredible.
Yeah.
That I sort of find it hard to imagine how that gets assembled and painted and stored and transported and set out and yada yada. So those are my two. I don't want to overly dwell on the bad things. I think that the event by and large was a massive success. I had an absolutely wonderful time. I played 6 wonderful games against 6 wonderful people, and had a great time. And would absolutely want to go again. So I don't want to overdwell on it, but like those are the two things that I would GW, if you're watching this, consider not using Crusade. I don't think you're gonna take that piece of advice, but also consider adding more terrain, which I've heard through the grapevine that they're already working on.
Oh yeah, I mean, so if anyone can do it, it's probably them.
It's probably them. I'm sure they'll get that one sorted.
Yeah, no, those are 2 really good points, because like the Crusade rules, I feel like it puts a lot of dynamics on the games that you're trying to get to, and play and have a good time. Where like so much things can go wrong. Like you have the guy that had a underpowered list, and now he's like kind of playing a little gamey so that he can make his weak list really strong eventually, and that's totally cool. Or there's the person that like has never played a game, playing for like his first week and just
doesn't know how to use Crusade at all.
Doesn't know how to use Crusade.
It's like it's an extra layer of
it's
rule.
overloading him. Doesn't you don't want to deal with that, so he just plays. And then there's like, I don't know, there's also other archetypes of players there, and really you all just want to have a good time. So
honestly, to comment on that, the event was actually, there's a lot of complexity. Narrative. I played against two of my games were against people who were sort of new to the hobby and to the game, and I could sort of see it in their face that like learning the base rules, learning the Crusade rules. The Crusade missions are different from sort of the competitive missions, and they involve this extra layer of like choosing agendas as well as sort of tracking XP. The current season of Crusade involves both normal XP as well as these like tyrannic war vet. So there's a second advancement track built into the Crusade system currently. But then also there was this fame infamy thing that we were sort of provided in each mission that we could accomplish on top of the mission rules and the crusade rules. And then there's a fourth layer, which was our faction priority. So we were additionally given a faction
You were
priority.
trying to achieve like 3 to 4 things.
Yeah.
There
Like
was
a given.
so much to keep track of in your head. And I think like their intent was that you sort of pick one of these things and just ignore the rest. That like, hey, nobody is meant to sort of track all of this.
Yeah.
Like if you want to sort of be a faction loyalist, just follow your faction priority. Don't worry about fame infamy. Maybe even don't even worry about the mission. Just like do your faction priority thing. But like, I don't know, like I'm a gamer. I play games. I want to do all the wins. I'm like a completionist. I want to like
No, exactly. Like that was like the funnest part of like me coming from more competitive events and like wanting to achieve everything and just falling flat on my face. Just, like, I tried to, you know, hold my line, but also be in his backfield and also, you know, get my warlord to the center and kill 3 things. Couldn't do them all. And just like, you know, float. And it was super fun just trying to complete all 4 things in a given game.
And I think they wanted you to not do that. And then towards the end of the event, some of our voxel Callum got a little bit more sort of aggressive about informing us about this. He was like, hey, your faction priority for this, I remember this conversation specifically, was like, all right, your faction priority is to what did he say? So to destroy vital targets. He's like, that doesn't mean table your opponent and then by default their vital targets are destroyed. You need to intentionally choose some vital targets with your opponent at the start of the game, and then take very concrete, specific, intentional actions during the game to prioritize those targets over all other targets. If you just table your opponent, like that's not destroying vital targets. And I appreciated that. But, you know, it also was a little bit tricky because a lot of the faction objectives and some of the fame infamy stuff was presented to us in non-specific ways. They'd sort of give you vague guidance about like, all right, to be famous in this game, you need to continuously move forward and lead from the front and project an aura of confidence in the face of the enemy. And you're like,
what is that? They're very abstract things.
And so at the end of the game, they'd ask you, did you like end the game in your opponent's deployment zone? Did you attack every turn? And you're like, no, I missed 1 turn of attacking because I didn't know that was a requirement. And like, okay, well, you didn't achieve it then. And so there was every once in a while like a little bit of a feels bad because they like intentionally didn't want you to like, they didn't want to give you too much information. They wanted to present it in a narrative way. But they also had sort of very specific things in their mind that you needed to accomplish.
It meant something.
But then there were other ones where they were just like, did you accomplish your faction priority, which is you know, destroy vital targets. And you got to sort of decide for yourself or in concert with your opponent if you did that or not.
Right.
Which is also kind of cool, right? Like you got to sort of, is a bit of an honor system thing. Anyway, it was like, I'd never seen that sort of honor system used in a game before. I don't know. How did you feel it worked, John?
I thought it was cool. It was definitely a shock seeing how, I don't know, subjective everything was. I don't know. But I don't know, you get used to it, and you can see that the staff and everyone was kind of evolving as the narrative went on. They kind of patched things, kind of learned on the fly.
That was cool to see. They got feedback about some of this stuff and sort of responded to it in real time. I remember one of the things people commented on a lot after the event was that one of the battle war zones had on the ground, sort of, as you know, we talk about our moss. They had ferric dust, like little sand, but it was metallic. It had iron in it. It was ferrous. And so if you had magnets on your models, it would pick up like little bits of the dust and stick to your magnets. So a bunch of people were like commenting after the event, like, I walked home with like a piece of the 5-fold forge in my army case.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I guess they're not going to use the
maybe not next year.
That's fun.
Anyway, it was cool. Yeah. All right, we're a little over time, and we're probably gonna start wrapping up. You did bring some goodies home though, so we want to show those off.
Swag.
Oh my gosh.
So
while we're closing up, we're gonna show off some stuff if you wanna.
Yeah.
give us support the show, we'd appreciate it. If you want to give us a like, if you haven't already, we'd appreciate it. But what'd you bring us?
Yes.
And I mean us, I mean you.
Let's show the first thing that we got. And so when we signed up, we got like our goodie bags, and then we also had to go to this kind of tarot card reader.
Registration.
Yeah, when
as
we
part
got
of registration.
As part of registration, and we like sat in front of this tarot card reader, and she like drew us a card. She did like
read
the
our
whole
fortune.
thing. Yeah, read our fortune, and this is how we got placed at our tables and
Oh,
like,
that's
found our
super
matches throughout the whole crusade. So we got our tarot cards here.
So we're each issued a tarot card, and when we'd walk into a war zone, you'd find the table that had your tarot card next to it, and that was how you knew which table you were playing at.
Yes.
So these were specially printed. They've revealed that they'd revealed these tarot cards previously, but these have the Grand Narrative logo and text printed on the back.
Sweet.
But this is how they did the pairings.
What did you get?
Cool. I got the Young Warrior, which is
Tau.
appropriate.
It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, very appropriate. I have Hound.
The Hound.
Yes, very cool.
Awesome.
We also got a bunch of other things. We have our con badge where you can put your like cool name on, cool lanyard,
Had a
map,
Your cool name.
map on the back.
map of the venue. So if you were in the Scars war zone, for example, and you didn't know where that was, the map would tell you where to go.
Yes, we have our
Got some objective markers.
objective markers, classic.
Super cool. Super little poker chips.
Poker chip objective markers has grand narrative
Yep.
on both sides, and then like the rest is just like
Well, sorry. There was a basic like a
Yes.
basic sort of swag package, and then there was a premium swag
Mm-hmm.
package. And one of the things that they didn't sort of announce what was in the premium swag package ahead of time. So I kind of want to like tell people kind of the
base.
the
Yes.
differences in them, so that way if they do this next year, you can sort of know what.
Let's start with the base stuff. Then.
So the rest of the base stuff, this we got a challenge coin, an event coin, the Grand Narrative. This is like heavy
it's
metal.
bronze or something. Yeah,
It's pretty heavy.
and it's specific to the
somebody.
Pact of Resistance. And we got a Imperial Lasgun
That's cool. Little
Uh,
keychain.
keychain.
Yeah.
and we got these Crusade mission cards.
I love these.
So this is basically the Crusade rulebook,
yeah.
but on cards.
Yeah.
So if you want to know the details of your mission, it's all printed here, as well as information about building an army and all that kind of stuff. So this is
If you go to any GW event, they'll give you these.
Yeah.
And it's so convenient.
Super
But like
handy.
for competitive,
Yeah.
for Crusade, they'll give those out, and they're just so awesome.
And then the last thing I'll point out is that the basic sort of package, and well, no, you got one of these too, right?
Yeah.
It all came in, this little baggie. Oh, and then the basic swag package came with a Grand
water bottle.
Narrative branded.
Gotta
water
hydrate, man.
bottle.
Stay hydrated.
Cool. All right, so that is basic swag.
Yes.
Then the upgraded swag package, premium swag package. What did that come
Look, big baller over here.
Yeah. Apparently, a year ago, John made some questionable. financial decisions. You just want to hand me stuff?
Oh,
Yeah.
Just like, boom.
Sweet dice.
They
Faction
just
dice.
throw swag at you. I don't random stuff. AOS, EMF, Deepkin.
Yeah, so now you have to start
dice.
Deepkin already.
Yeah, now I have to start. I guess it's kind of Eldari. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got
I've seen
fanny
people so I saw people kind of wear these before. I thought it was a fanny pack, but there's no like clip. I think it's actually like
Shoulder
a
bag?
Shoulder bag.
it's like a shoulder bag type of thing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
got
Which
this?
is like quite convenient.
Oops.
I have no idea what this
This
is.
a
like,
hobbying
could
tool.
be-
So
could be anything.
John,
Is it like a snack for later? I don't know.
little model.
You got
holder.
a premium water bottle,
Very
a
nice.
thermos, an insulated,
Thermos.
double insulated
Yeah.
vacuum thermos.
Yeah, it has Grand Narrative palette system
Put some coffee in that bad boy.
on there, and then two cool models, and they look like limited edition
These are
models.
these are the
Oh, maybe
are these
not.
the Warhammer Plus models?
They might. Oh yeah, they're
This
commemorative.
This one definitely is.
Commemorative.
Oh,
series.
yeah.
Yeah. So we have a commissar and a Slaves of Darkness Tolgar, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So
Alright.
some nice
Yeah, so-
event models.
Pretty awesome.
That is it. That is the extent
Yeah.
of our.
And then you even got a cool hotel.
the
key
hotel card.
The hotel room key.
Yeah,
was
even
branded
Grand
as well.
Narrative.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
very
pretty
cool.
good. Pretty cool.
Kind of cool stuff.
So yeah, a little bit extra swag.
Yeah.
Which was neat. I like the giving out the commemorative models in the swag package.
Yeah.
It feels good.
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I'm sure they give you your value back
Yeah,
in
yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is cool.
Maybe not this. You don't. You're not gonna use it. All right. Well, that was fun. That
Cool.
was. So it looks like approval from you guys.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
thumbs.
If you went or if you are interested in going, let us know in the comments your thoughts on what we just sort of relayed. I'd love to hear, other people. I'm super interested. We run a narrative event locally. We play in a lot of narrative events locally.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see narrative as a style of gaming sort of
a
become
main event type
become
of thing.
more popular.
Yeah.
And so I'm of the opinion that a rising tide raises all ships, and I want to see people get excited about narrative and go to more narrative events and see sort of narrative play as a thing become more popular.
More.
So I'm very excited to see what GW does with this on year 3 next year.
Yeah,
totally. And if you're looking to go next year, hopefully we can set up a battle group or something.
Yeah.
And really fill it out with people we know and people that want to have fun with us.
Yeah.
Polychrome asked how much the event was. The base ticket was $300. And I don't remember how much the sort of premium swag package was. I think it was to the tune of another 100 on top of that.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So it was an expensive event, but you have to keep in mind that the 15 or so sort of full-time employees that were running all of the all the cosplays and running all of the battle group rooms, maybe it was probably even closer to 20. We're all full-time paid employees. They were paid for their time, fairly compensated. So it was a high production value event for sure.
And it was a pretty specific event too, where it was invitational competitive, which is a small group in itself, and then just the narrative.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much else. It's not like it was LVO where it's 1,000, 2,000
Yeah,
people.
there's no other.
It was I don't know, 500, 600 maybe total people.
Oh, and we also got 2 drink tickets and a $10 off coupon to the GW store.
Free drinks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there was a few. They're
More
plying us with
swag.
booze. That's right.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna wrap up today's show. We had a little bit of a late lunch today, but big thumbs up for Grand Narrative and narrative gaming in general.
For sure.
And,
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah. So coming up though, before we shut this all down.
Yeah.
Coming up, we have Monday in the Mortal Realms in just a couple hours. It's going to be around 4:30 today. Later today, they're going to be talking about shooting. I don't know. It's 40K. We already know about shooting.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm not quite sure.
I guess they don't know what's so confusing about
first
shooting.
time AOS.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So then we're going to talk, and then Wednesday.
Where there's a smog show.
Smog with Kat and Meg.
Yep.
So Kat is back.
You want to see the completion of the smog.
Yes, the big smog model will be Wednesday. And then Friday, I'll be back. I'm going to be doing my journeys. I'll be doing some upgrading some old models, updating my old paint scheme. So I'll show you how to do that, one, because a lot of people don't know how to do that, and how I specifically do it for my army. So
sweet.
Hopefully we'll see you guys later on.
Looks like is that a super chat?
Oh, yes, we did. Sorry. Before we, Young Bo. No, you're right.
Young Bo.
Yeah, Young Bo. Thanks for the stream. It was really fun to hear about this experience. Hopefully GW runs more of these or makes stuff like this accessible to the public. So this is accessible to the public. Yeah.
It is. It's just expensive.
It's just expensive.
Yeah, more accessible for sure.
Yeah.
Is what we would want.
Yeah.
But Young Bo, if you're interested in narrative gaming generally, like I said, there are sort of 4 big narrative events around the country annually. There's LVO, which is coming up at the end of January. Maelstrom Mixer in early May, which
run by
which we put on in San Jose, California. Nova in the DC area in early September, and then this Grand Narrative event in late November, usually the week before Thanksgiving.
All open to the public.
All open to the public. All kind of have a different take on narrative, and all really, really fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully to see you there.
Yeah, hopefully we can see you there. All right, y'all.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you later. Have a good lunch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.